streaming, and we're so glad you come to spend some time with us tonight. I'm going to see if I can get all these groups out that we're kindly sharing too. I want to do I want to just say our new group tonight is South Carolina Noahides. We appreciate them joining us tonight. We're able to set up with them on live stream. We want to thank Brooks Lee for starting that group, and we really appreciate him. Also, those of you that are listening through B'nai Noach Fellowship, we thank you so much for joining with us tonight, and A Simple Walk Facebook group, we thank you as well. Please like, share, comment, share those videos with all your social media platform. Those of you that are watching or listening via Power Faith Radio, they can't watch, but we want to invite you to watch. But if you're listening, we thank you so much, and if you would like to watch, come over to one of the Facebook groups, and there you'll find the link on how to get into the Zoom room. And let's see, also, did I cover them all? I didn't cover them all. That
YouTube.
Outreach Noah YouTube channel. I about forgot that one. Thank you all so much for listening there. Remember, those videos are recorded as we go, so if you can't watch it tonight, you can watch it in the future. Please like, share, join that group. We're trying to get to 100 members in that group, and we'll get a little bit of extra quirks in doing that. All right, Terry, now did I get it all out?
I think you got it all out.
Okay, Baruch Hashem. I don't know how I did, but I did. Let me say real quick, it's so good to have everybody in the Zoom room with us tonight. It's good to have Thomas. It's good to have Ronald. It's good to have Amuela. It's good to have Wendell. It's good to have Veronica. It's good to have my wife, Annie. And it's always good to have Terry, our teacher for tonight. Terry, take it away and talk to everybody for a minute.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming. As you can see, my wife got a hold of my study this weekend. I said, I need to go in and do some cleaning and some dusting and all that. And she got in here and says, no, let's do some rearranging. So we spent Saturday afternoon and most of Saturday night unloading bookshelves, moving things around, and actually gained me a lot more space in here where I can have me a reading chair and sit and relax and do some reading in here now. But just want to welcome everyone. Scotty's listed everything. I'm not going to, because it seems like our live stream list has been growing quite a bit here lately, and just want to welcome everyone to our Outreach Noah class. Just as a way of an announcement, I hope Scotty don't mind. I'm trying to do from memory. He and I talk. Okay, this week we're going to be. We're still in the article, 7 Laws for a Beautiful Planet by Tzvi Freeman of Chabad.org. And tonight we're going to, Hashem willing, we're going to cover 4 and 5. Next week, finish up with 6 and 7. Then the next week, I believe that 3 weeks down is September 7th, I think. We're looking at, we're discussing about having another one of those question things. We're going to reach into the list of questioning that y'all have been sending to us. We're going to pick some and one or some, see what we can do, and do another night like we did before, and taking a question or 2 or 3. We have time and answer those and discuss those. After that, I think, Scotty, you said you were going to be out of town again on the 14th.
Yes, we are.
And I'm going to be out of town on the 21st. What is that? 21st. The 21st. So it's going to be 2 weeks in a row that he's going to be out of town, then I'm going to be out of town. So we're going to get kind of a 2-week break there. Hate to do 2 weeks in a row. We were talking this week, and I told him I had a trip coming up that I was going to be making, and he said he was going to be going out of town too. So I wanted to make those announcements. So if you want to put that in your notes, that the 14th and the 21st, those 2 Wednesdays in a row, we won't be having class. Scotty and I will both be him out of town 1 week, and I'll be out of town the next week. Unless Scotty wants to hold it. I mean, that's just up to you, Scotty.
We'll talk about that. You know what? We may think of something. I may think of something. I don't know if we'll think of something on the 21st. because I'll be here in the engine room, and I'll have Amuela to help and everybody else here to help, and we may think of just coming in and I may do a little thing on Tzedakah that
That might be good, Scotty.
and wherever you're at, you can join in. You can join in on Zoom.
I'm gonna be taking my laptop with me, so if I'm leaving Tuesday night right after work, so I should be where I'm going to be at by Wednesday.
We'll discuss that.
So
we'll work that in.
I might be. I'll take my laptop with me. It's got a cam on it, and it's got my Zoom and everything on it. So that's how I got started out. Was on it. So yeah, we'll look at that. That might be
Okay.
might be fun.
Okay.
Might be fun. So anyhow, so that's you can just put that in your notes, the 14th and the 21st. But the 21st, Scotty might be doing that. If he can do something on Tzedakah, that'd be really good because he is the Tzedakah guy.
Well,
I mean,
about that, but
he's the Tzedakah. I mean, I've learned more about Tzedakah from you than I have any other source. Well, let me say I've learned about the truth about the giving and actually being inspired to give, and be more mindful of it. You've helped me out a whole lot in that area. So I think that's all the announcements that we have. If you have any questions, Scotty's been making the list, and if you've got anything, send it to him, and he's going to be choosing, having a couple on hand. Like last time we only got into one.
Yeah.
But who knows? We'll get into one or more. But I really do like those question and answer kind of thing where we can take time to answer the questions you send us and everything. So Scotty, are you ready?
I'm ready with our Tzedakah time. I want to tell everybody I kind of laughed at myself this week several times. I do that often. Ask Thomas and Terry when they're around me. I sometimes I have just the best fun with myself. So anyway, I was laughing at now. I've always heard about being dyslexic. I'm dyslexic. I'm not claiming it. I'm just telling you that's what they say. I'm dyslexic. And the worst thing, the worst problem I have, as always have, is reading names. And here I am on Outreach Noah reading names during the Tzedakah time. Now I'm gonna tell you something. That's the Creator doing that. I feel like what Moses said. My speech just ain't real good. Can I give you a hint? Something you might try to do sometime. Yeah,
I doubt if you're going to do this, but believe it or not, I knew a couple that traveled and sang. Their only son was dyslexic, and he was, I must say, he was a young teenager, and they started getting. Well, she was Jewish, and so they started getting into some Hebrew, and him being Hebrew reads right to left, and with dyslexia, the letters turn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He started reading Hebrew perfect. He had zero problem with it. Matter of fact, he read Hebrew easier than he did English. And he would get up, and he was, they were part of a congregation I was in years ago. And he would get up and he would struggle reading a verse in English out of the Bible. And then he would read it in Hebrew flawlessly.
Wow.
Because it went right with his eyesight going right to left with the Hebrews, nothing turned. And so maybe you can start writing people's names in Hebrew.
Either that or write them backwards.
Or write them backwards. There you go.
I can write them backwards. So,
but yeah, no, this is really true. This is him. I've
heard of that.
He ended up Hebrew was an easier language than his native English. And I'm talking about biblical Hebrew, not street Hebrew like they speak in the land, out on the, regular conversational Hebrew is different. But anyhow, might be something if you've not tried learning the Hebrew just yet. You might pick up it really quick.
I might do it. Stranger things have happened. So,
yeah.
All right. Well,
Scotty.
I'm going to get ready with our Tzedakah time. First of all, I need to show you something. We heard from Wendy Shepard just a few minutes ago before we started our class tonight, and I want to do a little share screen here if I can get it to work correctly for me. And I don't know if y'all remember little Caleb. Let's see. Let me see if I can move my thing here where I can do this right. Here was Caleb about a year ago, and his full name is Caleb Jonathan White. And Wendy put him on our Tzedakah list, and we gave Tzedakah for quite a while for Caleb, and then she gave us some update pictures, and he was coming through. It didn't look good for a long time, and here's when they got to take him home, and here's when I think that's his brother holding him, and here is Caleb Jonathan White now. He is 1 year old. He just had his 1 year birthday this past Monday. And isn't he adorable?
Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. What a great blessing. So we're giving Tzedakah tonight for his first year birthday for Caleb Jonathan White. Baruch Hashem. Also, I saw something fascinating tonight. William Hall put on that his daughter and son-in-law's birthday, I think it was today.
Yeah, I think so. I think I saw that too. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
too.
Their birthdays are on the same day. What that he said that's a match made right there. So it's Jessica and Brandon for it, if I pronounce that last name right, and we're giving Tzedakah for them tonight. Also on their birthday. Also, Ida Bloom had a birthday this week, and we're giving Tzedakah for Ida. Rosie Simmons had a birthday this week. We're giving Tzedakah for Rosie. And Glenn Parker had a birthday this week. We're giving Tzedakah for Glenn Parker. Now we're going to move on over into our memory just for strength and healing, whatever's needed. We're looking for the Creator to do full recovery on this. We're giving Tzedakah, first of all, tonight for our teacher, Pesach Sherbo, and also Chris Giles. Chris Giles, that is my aunt's stepmother, so I'm going to think that's my dad's stepmother. I'm trying to figure out, maybe she can correct me if I'm wrong, but Chris Giles. Also, Ariella David, we're giving Tzedakah for her tonight. Let me see, I should have moved some of the Tzedakah around in this where I got it. Evelyn Steele, we're giving Tzedakah for Evelyn tonight. We're looking for the Creator to bring her full recovery. Also, Bobby Daly, we're giving Tzedakah for him tonight. He needs strength in their family. Also, Mary Parsons. Wendell, did your lovely wife start her chemo things this week?
Yes. Matter of fact, today was the end of the first week, and she's got about 5.5 more weeks to do. So, yep, but she's on the process now.
Okay, we're going to continue to give Tzedakah for her, looking for a full recovery. Also, let's see if I can, Gordon Schill. I think I got that right. We're looking for Gordon to have. Oh, yes, that's Gordon Chill. That's right. I've just talked to him. Sorry, Gordon, if I mispronounced your name at the end, but I just told you who I am. So anyway, we're giving Tzedakah for him. Also, Amuela, somebody always sends Tzedakah in for you, honey. This is your dollar going into the Tzedakah. May you be blessed by the giving. Also, Thomas, that same person always sends $1 in for you. May you be blessed by the giving. And also, Veronica Port, they just got you all teamed up. So may you three be blessed by the giving. Now, I don't know if you two ladies ought to be upset about that because they're teaming you up with Thomas, but we'll talk about that later. So, all right, now we're going to go on down. Ronald Dickman. Ronald, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine at the moment. I just, the 16th, I'll have this last lung test where you do a lot of heavy breathing into tubes and get puffed out.
Okay.
After that, we come to a close. There's nothing more we can look at. So that'll at least give me an idea of my lung function.
Okay. All right.
So,
We're
but
going to
otherwise,
continue.
yeah, I'm feeling okay, except for the lethargy that I suffer. But yeah,
You can't tell it by looking at your picture.
no, that's the beauty of it. If you hang around me long enough, you see me dozing off all the time, and that sort of sells you something.
Well, I do that too, Ronald, but I thought that had contributed to age, but we'll not discuss that. Okay. Well, we're so glad you're going to make it out of that, Ronald. Also, Sharon Garland. We're giving Sadaka for Sharon Garland tonight. That's my wife's sister-in-law. Also, we're giving Sadaka tonight for Ethelene Moore. She had, it's amazing what doctors can do now. They went up through her leg and operated on her heart. It's amazing what they can do. And also that Sharon Garland, same thing. They went up through her leg and replaced a valve in her heart. And as far as we know, she's doing good. And Ethelene Moore is doing good. Also, we're giving Sadaka tonight for Tina Lyons. So now our blessed memory. I don't know if anybody saw this. He had his birthday this week, but I hope y'all can remember because he is someone to remember. Richard Helton had a birthday this week, and we're going to give Sadaka. That's our blessed memory for this class, Richard Helton. Richard really touched my heart. When I was first coming into this walk, there was a few people that I'd hooked up with, and that kind of helped me along, and Richard was one of those people, and he always made sure I was steered in the right direction to get information. He would send me information, and so a blessed memory for his merit. We're giving Sadaka for Richard Helton tonight. Remember.
He lived in California.
He lived in California.
He was a retired engineer. And I would forget to turn my notification thing on my phone off at night, and I go to bed. And all of a sudden, about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, ding, ding, ding. And I get up, I go, oh, Richard, he's sending a bunch of stuff. I mean, it was like clockwork almost about every other night. You'd hear my phone going ding, ding. And I look at the clock. I said, well, Richard's up sending for everybody something.
I told him one night. I told Richard one night. His same thing about 3 o'clock in the morning. And, of course, I leave my phone on all the time because I'm on 24-hour call. And so I was getting all these dings, and I looked, and I got up, and I sat on the side of the bed, and I said, Richard, do you know what time it is? He said, yeah, that's why I'm texting you now, because I feel like you're my captive audience. So, yes, he was beloved. He was beloved, and he fought his sickness hard. And when he left, he left surrounded by his daughter was there with him, and it was just I got to talk to her, and it was just a tremendous passing, and so blessed memory to Richard Helton tonight. Remember, if Sadaka charity can change you, can change your family, can change your community, and together we can change the world. All right, Terry, are you ready?
Didn't you forget us, Sadaka?
That's what.
Sadaka?
Who did I forget one for?
You.
Oh, I did. I had a birthday this week. Now I'm gonna do it for my wife as well, because she's got a birthday coming up in the next couple of days. But we'll do hers next week. But but I had a birthday this week. It was a great birthday, and it never ceases to amaze me how good Hashem is to me, and so I'm going to go ahead and give Sadaka now for that. Thank you, Thomas, for bringing that up. I forgot how old I was, but I'm so glad you brought that up.
I told you I would.
Thomas, so now my wife's birthday, we'll give Sadaka for her next week. Also, our anniversary. I married my wife on her birthday, so I would only have to remember one day, and so worked out good for me. So there we go.
I like how my dad, he married my stepmom on February 29th, so you only have to remember it every 4 years.
Yeah. All right, Terry, are you ready?
Yeah, hey, Scotty, can you put another name on the list there?
Yes.
remember Pesach's wife, Shira,
Oh yes.
in her situation.
Now she's in Texas.
Yeah, I think she's in Abilene's where her family is at.
And something happened.
She came in from Israel for a
I forgot about
wedding
that.
and then one of her family members, I think it was her sister, I can't remember. It's been a crazy week at work this week, and some things I don't remember, had passed away while she
Okay.
was there. So
We're giving
he
tzedakah for that.
put
right
her
now.
on the list as well.
Yes.
That's our teacher's wife, Shira Shirbo.
Okay.
What about Ronnie Sheets, Terry?
He's doing really good. He's having a procedure done tomorrow, but it's one of those procedures for, you get done all the time when every so many years when you get older. He's 75 and everything. So, but he's doing really good. He was out yesterday. He gets in these coughing spells because, like I said, he had COVID pneumonia, and it just took the top like third of his lungs or something. So when he gets the coughing, he can't get the oxygen in the air, and it kind of, I thought he was choking on something another day, but a coughing spell hit him, and he gets where he loses his breath because he can't inhale enough air at the same time. So, but he's doing real good as far as he's got a lot of his energy and stuff back.
I forgot to move him over, so thank you, Ronald, for bringing that up, and thank you, Terry, for the update. And we're giving tzedakah for him right now. All right.
And we this last Saturday, my wife and I was out at Hobby Lobby, and we don't do seasonal decorations. Holiday decorations. We do seasonal. We have our spring and summer boxes and our fall and winter boxes that we have our stuff in. And so my wife says, they got the fall stuff out. We got to head to Hobby Lobby because she likes to add a little bit each year to everything. And while we were there, we met a lady. We was going down the aisle. We were talking about the different flowers and everything. She lost her husband in January. She and her husband both had the C, the virus, and he didn't make it. And it's just interesting to just talking to her. She still seemed to be okay and everything, but it's really nice when you're out and about and you can just meet a total stranger and how they can impact your life and just have a good conversation, and things like that. So you never know what somebody else is going through out there. So that's why it's always, it's hard sometimes, but if we can always try to be kind. I know some of them we want to throw rocks at, but
yeah,
but you never know what someone else is going through, anything like that. And speaking of anniversaries, my wife got me when we first got married. In the church I grew up in, we always carried a briefcase because when we went to learn, guys would have their briefcases and notepads and stuff like that. So we got married. When my wife and I first got married, she bought me a briefcase, and she hands it to me, and she says, if you ever cannot get in your briefcase, you're in real bad trouble. She set the combination to our wedding anniversary. So she says, if you forget how to get in your briefcase, we're going to have a real big talk.
Oh.
So,
just got a bunch of people in trouble, but that's okay.
because somebody's going to be setting combinations to the wedding anniversaries and the different
exactly.
things. And if you can't get into your workshop, you can't get into this and that. You're going to, Yeah, that was real clever of my wife. So I never have forgot that. Matter of fact, I think I still got the briefcase around here somewhere. Okay.
All right.
We'll get started here. Tonight, Hashem willing, I'm going to cover Law 4 and 5 in our 7 Laws for a Beautiful Planet by Tzvi Freeman of Chabad.org. Scotty, anything we need to cover question-wise, anything come in over anything we've already covered up to this point, so I can get it out of the way here?
No, but I'm surprised about something. I want to tell you about something. Somebody texted me this week and said that uh, have they've been listening to the YouTube channel, and they'll listen a little bit and they'll back it up and listen and go through, and they just want to thank you for the teaching because they're really getting a lot out of it. So we want to. We're glad they're
Well, thank you.
getting that out of that.
Can you hear me okay since I moved my mic and everything around? I'm still
good.
trying to get it adjusted to the right spot now. Listen to Thomas.
So, you know, Thomas. Sounds good, Terry. Take it away.
All righty. Like I've said before, this is more philosophy, kind of philosophical look into the 7 laws. This fourth one, Scotty and I was having a discussion the other day, and I even have my notes down here. I was fixing to do a deep dive on this one because and I decided to back off because I really want to finish this article before I, have to go out of town. But also, it's not really the place to go into that direction I was about to go into, because we're going to go into these again. Matter of fact, over the years, you're going to hear a lot of stuff about them because they're so deep. But later on, we're going to start taking deep dives into each one of these and covering a lot more detail. But that's not what the purpose of this small series is. It's more of like I said, a philosophical kind of look at the laws and get you in a general everyday thinking. And I will do a little bit on the 5th one here toward the end. It won't be a real big deep dive, but it'll be something I wanted to share with everyone. But number 4, honor the sanctity of measured consumption. The 4th principle of Noah has to do with how we exploit the life and resources of our world. This principle is stated clearly in Genesis, and it's in Genesis, I believe it's 9:4. It's in Genesis 9. It's do not eat meat while its soul is still within it. Quite simple. If we wish to eat meat, we must wait until the entire animal has died before removing one of its limbs for consumption. We are not permitted to cause unnecessary harm to any creature. Now, this is the 7th, what we sometimes call the 7th. It's the one that there were 6 that was given from Adam to Noah. And then after the flood, this was the 7th one that was given. It was the permission to eat meat. And when the permission to eat meat came, so did a dietary restriction of eating meat. And I'm going to be getting into it in a whole lot deeper fashion later. But the main point is do not eat meat while its soul is still within it. We're going to get into that statement in the Hebrew scriptures, in the Torah, in the Hebrew, going to learn some things. If you ever watch NCIS New Orleans, he said, go learn something. We're going to learn some things. It's really good. I will say, I will bring this little bitty piece out because I know there are some going to be asking this question if they've not already sent Scotty a message. Because the passage says, do not eat meat while its soul is within it. So many times we have heard in the past that animals, say your dog, your cat, lion, doesn't have a soul. That's incorrect. Now, we'll show you this one little bitty thing here real quick. Wait a minute. I got my hummus right here. I've got my room turned around a little bit, so it's taking a little bit of time. In Genesis chapter 1, if you want to write this down, I'll give you this little bitty tidbit because that is the commandment. It is not to eat meat while its soul is still within it. But in Genesis chapter 1, verse 24, it says, and God said, let the earth bring forth living creatures, each according to its kind, animal, creeping things, beasts of the land, according to its kind. And it was so. On the general English translations, they'll say that the earth brought forth living creatures, but living creatures is not what it says in the Hebrew. In the Hebrew, it says nephesh chaya, living souls. That's so when you hear someone say, well, animals don't have a soul, it's incorrect. They're actually, in the Hebrew, they're considered a living soul. Matter of fact, that's how Adam knew how to name the animals, because he would look at the characteristics of their soul, their and how they were, and he named them accordingly. And so I just want to drop that little bit tidbit. So we're not permitted to eat meat with its soul still in it. And I'll get more deeper into that a little bit later, what all that means. And we're all going to learn some very interesting information about the Hebrew behind that passage in Genesis chapter 9. But it says, quite simply, if we wish to eat meat, we must wait until the animal has died before removing one of its limbs for consumption. The animal has to be 100% dead. See, back a long time ago, they might keep an animal, and we're talking about a more of a mammal. This does not apply to sea creatures, only land animals, and only certain land animals at that. And we'll get into that more as we go on. But just let's say like a lamb or a cow, they would take and they would cut one of the limbs off while the cow or the lamb was still alive, and they would eat it. And it was barbaric, but you're not supposed to do that. God says, don't do that. And from that commandment, we also get the sub-commandments of how to take care of the creation. See, a lot of people don't think that we or even the Jews care much about the earth, but there's a lot of commandments that God has given us and the Jewish people even more so on taking care of the planet. For them, there's things that are direct sins. And for us, they're more of an obligation that our sin lies in. If we eat meat with its soul in it, that's a direct sin. And we'll also get into the understanding and the teaching when we get into this. What about buying the meat at the store? How will you know? We're going to cover those kind of questions. So I know you're probably going to be sending some of those in. Well, if I go down to Publix and I get a steak or get some hamburger or get some pork chops, how do I know that the animal was completely dead? Though that will be answered to later when we get into this deep dive into these passages.
Terry, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Before you go any further, if you would, because the chatter jumped in on this, and I really don't want you to cover this because we're covering this part here,
right,
of the 7 mitzvot. But there is a difference, though. Now let me rephrase it. What are the similarities between the soul of the animal and us?
Okay, the soul of the animal. Let's look at.
I don't want to pull you too far away.
No. This is fine. This is class. This is fine. Okay. When we look at Genesis 1:24, it says, God said, let the earth bring forth living souls. The animal's souls comes from the earth. It's called a nephesh. Okay. We also have a nephesh. There is a connection between the nephesh and the dam, the blood. That's part of the deep dive that we're going to get into. The difference between us and the animals is the souls of the earth brought forth the living souls, the animals. For us, our bodies come from the earth, but our souls actually is a lot more complicated. You can say that the animal soul is in a simple form. It comes from the earth. It's got a simplicity to it. Our souls are more complex. We have a nephesh that's with the blood. We also have a neshama. I think there's five aspects, and I don't ever get into all five because the top two level, the souls, are levels that are reached by people like the prophets. Moses, one of them that reached the highest level. We have what's called a neshama. You'll read in I think it's the Proverbs, King Solomon, and I think it was King Solomon or King David, said that it says the soul of man is it says something, the soul of man is the candle that God uses to search the inwards of man. That word soul there, so that's the reason why English stinks, because there are different words. You have like nephesh, you have ruach, you have neshama. In that passage, it's neshama. The neshama is here. It's the part of the soul that's in the mind with the thoughts. And this is what God uses to search the inward parts of man. And so we'll be getting into that. And see, what is different between us and the animals, the soul of the animal, as we can see here in the passage, comes from the earth. Let the earth bring forth living souls. God breathed into us and we became a living creature. Our very life came from the Creator himself. He breathed into us. We're the only part of creation where that which was inside of him came out into us. He breathed. See, breath comes from inside. It's your life. Your breath is your life. And so the very life of God came into man and it gave us life, and and that is the difference. And that's the reason why it's important. That's a part of how we are created in the image of God. The animals don't contain the image of God because they don't contain the breath of God. We contain the breath of God. But their life force comes from the earth, and the earth he created, and everything within creation is within him. So they're that aspect, but they don't contain the breath.
Right. Thank you so much for that clarification.
I hope that's okay.
I think you explained it well. And like you said, we are going to get into that a little more depth, a little more detail later on.
And see, when we get into this, we're going to learn why it's important not to consume. See, it's not that we're not, see, with us, with the non-Jewish people, we're permitted to eat the blood. We cannot eat the blood with the life still in it, the soul in it. And we're going to be getting into that. It's all in the Hebrew. It's really good. But like I said, I can spend the next hour speaking on that. So yeah. I decided not to do that tonight. So we can go ahead and finish this. And then as we can, we'll go through each of these commandments. We'll be looking deep into them. But like I said, we get from this passage, the Torah sages learns that there are sub-obligations that ties into how we treat the environment, how we treat the earth, and how we treat the creation. This is the first one, like the first step kind of, is not to eat meat taken from a living animal. We're not permitted to. The animal has to be 100% dead, not convulsing. It has to be 100% dead. The soul has to be gone. And in that, we can learn some environmental issues and taking care of the earth and the planet around us and all of the things that God has created. Mr. Freeman goes on and says, but we must look deeper into the spirit of the words, that we must respect the life and function whatever we consume, that we must respect the life and function of whatever we consume. And that is only sustainable when we recognize that all life is purposeful because it is the work of a single, deliberate, and purposeful consciousness, the Creator. Everywhere on the planet, a grand symphony of life unfolds. Oxygen, carbon, hydrogen are fused by the sun to give life to plants and trees. a multitude of swimming, crawling, running, flying beings. Each plays its part as a simple organism. Organisms are consumed by more complex, intelligent, conscious beings. Let me read that again. Oxygen, carbon, hydrogen are fused by the sun, giving life to plants and trees. A multitude of swimming, crawling, running, flying beings, each plays a simple part, and our simple organisms are consumed by more complex, intelligent, and conscious beings. Which way is up? Which way is down? There's no way to tell, for it is the simple that gives life to the more complex. Each depends on the other until altogether they represent a masterful, intricate whole. The chain of life continues into the non-physical realm, for the human being stands as a bridge between the material and the spiritual. We are meant to live with our feet on the earth and our hearts toward the heavens, tending to the most mundane matters of eating and sleeping in a mindful way, consuming our food with care and respect for the life that brought it to us. In this way, we carry the life we consume one step higher from the material to the spiritual. With every bite we eat, every calorie of energy we burn, we can choose to continue dragging our environment into greater disarray or bond heaven and earth, connecting the life of this planet with a higher purpose. Now, let me explain this. This is something very beautiful that I've learned from my Jewish friends personally, that I know personally in sitting in their living rooms, and from the studies that I have done over the last 20 something years. You can take, let's say, an animal, a lamb. For us, a pork chop. Jews can't do that, but we can. So that's another thing we can do that Jews can't do. Matter of fact, I'm going to use that as an example. In Genesis chapter 9, which I'm going to be getting into, I was going to do all that tonight with this, but I'm going to be getting into the fact that in Genesis chapter 9, the commandment or the permission of eating meat, the Creator says that everything that creeps upon the earth shall be food for you, just like the herb. I give you everything. We are permitted. We have to settle the earth. We are permitted. It doesn't matter. You can ask Thomas. Thomas, I think he's tried everything on every continent, but it is not a sin for us to eat whatever is available in the land we live in. If you're in the Eskimos and you're eating seals and whales, there's not a problem. And even Rabbi Singer says he knows, because he was a chief rabbi of Indonesia for several years. There are people on the islands. Most of their food came from the oceans. Squid, octopus, whatever they could catch, that's what they ate. And there's not a problem with that. There's not a sin. There is for a Jew, because they were when meat was introduced into our diet, and I'm going to get into the reason why it was introduced when we get into this, because there's a reason why meat was introduced. And it's Torah permitted, and actually for the Jews, it's a commandment to eat meat for certain festivals and things. But when meat was introduced, there was dietary restrictions. Our dietary restriction, which actually every human being is dietary restriction, is we can't eat meat taken from a living animal. With the Jews, as the priesthood, theirs goes to a deeper level because of their mission and what they're supposed to do and who they are. But for us, we're to settle the whole earth, and then God provides you food, what's there, and there's not a problem with that. Here's the thing. We are designed to be the connector between earth and heaven. Our feet is on earth. Our hearts are in the heavens. We contain a nephesh just like the animals, but our soul goes a little further. It contains the breath of God. So we have earth and we have God in us. Matter of fact, I'm not going to get into that verse, Scotty. I won't do that right now. We will touch that later. But we're part earth and we're part heaven. And so part of our mission is to bring the mundane, that which is material, which is on the earth, which is considered the lowest of God's creation. God brought our souls to the lowest so that we may work to the highest. But we can take that which is mundane and we can elevate it from material to spiritual and bring it into the use of spirituality. So how can we do that? When you take and you eat the meat of an animal, no matter what it is, whether, like I said, whether it's a lamb, a pig, a goat, anything like that. He says here we can do this. We could drag the environment, the earth down in disarray like it's normally done, or we can bond heaven and earth. We do not ask God to bless our food. By the Creator providing it, it's already blessed. So we give thanks. We say a bracha, a blessing. We say, blessed are you, Hashem, our God. Baruch atah Hashem. Blessed are you, our God, who provides from his bounty. We don't ask him to bless it. It's already, if he's given it to you, it's already blessed. And so he does not bless the food because he's already given it to you. That's a blessing to begin with. So we bless the giver. Now, when we say a bracha, blessed are you, Hashem, our God, King of the universe, who have provided such and such, this pepperoni pizza, or, this corn cob or whatever, and you eat that food is to give your body energy. It's going to create energy in your body, and you're going to expel that energy and you're going to do something with it. You're going to use it. Now, you could use it to sin, to do frivolous things, or you can take that energy the energy from that animal that was given to you to eat, and you can do godly things. And when you use that energy when you take that pepperoni pizza, or you take that that New York strip steak, and you do a mitzvah, you give tzedakah, you help someone, or you live a righteous life, you are taking that meat, the energy from that animal, and you're elevating it from its mundane material life, and you're bringing it and using the energy from that animal, and you're elevating it to serve the Creator. And that's how we can take the material and we can bond heaven and earth. Or actually, from us, it's earth and heaven. Is when we purposely, we don't just ignore the food. That's one of the things we all have to learn. I still do. We all have to learn that when we're eating, whether it's a bowl of cereal or whether it's apple, that the Creator is giving that to you so that you can live your life according to his will. And that's how we can take and we can elevate the things of this earth up to a higher spiritual level by using the energy you get from it to do righteousness. I see Scotty's writing stuff down. So since the source of all things is essentially is an essential oneness, so every detail of the world around us expresses a magnificent unity. As the Kabbalists explain, in every event, in every life, in every creature, an infinite light can be found because the truth within each thing is divine. It's everything. There is a divine light in everything in the material. It can be a rock. It can be a leaf. Because what does the passage say? The earth is full of God's glory. So that means everything has a spark of the divine, even down to a grain of sand, a molecule of oxygen or hydrogen. Everything down to the most broke down element contains a spark of the divine. You cannot have anything in this planet that does not, in this universe, that does not have a spark of the divine. Even radioactive waves coming from a nebula that's a million light years away contains within it the spark of the divine. Humankind has the capacity to reveal the divinity within all earthly things and to connect them to the infinite light. But we also have the capacity for the opposite, to cause unbalance, to cause disarray. This is a challenge for every human being to choose harmony with the soul of the universe and reveal the harmony of all creation. And this begins with the acknowledgement of the world's master and awe and the master worker that inhabits all of us. Okay, Scotty, what you got?
It takes me a few more buttons to get back over to you because
That's
I got about 3 things going on at one time. If I had 2 more hands, I could push all them buttons at one time. So you're discussing. Okay, let's see if I can put this in a nutshell because it's a lot of chatter going on right now about it. I don't know where the assumption came from, but that God only moves and operates on this earth. He created it all, but he only moves and operates on this earth. But that's not correct, is it?
No, because here's the reason why. To say that limits God.
Exactly.
He's unlimited. He is, matter of fact, like we discussed earlier, it's, in Isaiah 45, Ani Hashem Ba'ain Od, there is no other. This is a very deep Hasidic understanding. This is pulling things into our realm so we can understand it. We by thinking that God only moves on this earth places him in a single place at one time, and you can't do that. That's idolatry. You can't say he only moves here. That means he doesn't occupy. There's a real good question that Rabbi Gutman Locks asked. Is God in the grave? If he's not, then he's not God. See, the very deep Torah sage, ancient Torah sages, as they looked into the Hebrew, they see that the Creator had to hollow himself, had to hollow a spot within himself to bring creation. So you have the Creator here, and the creation is inside of the Creator, and he completely consumes everything. That's why there is no form. If you have a form of God in your mind, it's idolatry, because there is no form. There is no size. That's why even the deep Torah sages says his name, which means strict justice, his name Elohim, isn't plural. It's vastness. It's like the word water, mayim. If you take a pin drop of water, it's mayim. If you take the ocean, every molecule of water in the ocean, that's mayim. It's vast. It's beyond our comprehension. So he doesn't just operate here on the earth. He operates in every aspect. If we could get on the starship, the Enterprise D, that travels nine times the speed of light, and we could go for 1,000 years, that's millions and billions of miles from here. That's why King David says, if I go to the heavens, you are there. If I go to the grave, you are there. If I go to the east, that you are there. Where can I go that your spirit is not? And this was before NC 1701, before they reached out to the stars. You can't go to the moon and God's not there. You can't go to Saturn and God's not there. You can't go to Alpha Centauri without God not being there. You can't outrun God. So,
okay, great. I think.
Sorry,
no,
you're getting into some stuff I like to talk about.
I know. Now we need to flip it over just a little bit, because you put in a couple things. Now let's talk about the difference in. I'm going to use the word kosher, but I'm using that word lightly right now.
Okay.
But let's talk about the difference of kosher for the Jewish and for the B'nai Noach.
For the first thing, kosher just means right.
Kosher just means right.
It means something is right.
So now,
because they have kosher tomatoes.
Right. Now, it's my understanding that theirs is concerned about what they eat, and ours is concerned more on the cruelty to animals than what we eat. So can you
part of that is the cruelty, but like I said, when we get into it, I'm just going to tell you, we're not permitted to consume the soul of an animal. But
you brought in pork.
I brought in pork.
Yeah.
Because in Genesis chapter 9, it says everything on the earth that creeps upon the earth shall be food for you.
So now what if somebody says, I'm not going to do that because of the health aspect?
If it's a health aspect, that's not a problem. I've got some friends who have high blood pressure that's not permitted to eat anything like that because it messes with their blood pressure.
So when it crosses over
if you say I don't eat it because the Bible says so, that you actually can be sinning as a B'nai Noach, because God did not tell us that. He told Israel that.
Okay, baboon.
To Israel, a pig is abomination. That which is permitted to us is not an abomination. That which is not permitted to us is an abomination. Adultery is an abomination. Murder is an abomination. He did not permit certain things for Israel to eat when it comes to meat, and to the sea animals. They're not permitted to eat certain sea animals. But that's them. That's not us. And we're not permitted to adopt those things as spiritual issues. If you want to as health, that's fine. If you adopt them as spiritual, you're creating something that God did not create. He did not say. So we got to be careful about the falsehood issue. We don't want to cause falsehood to say God told me that I can't do this, and he never said that. That's putting words in his mouth that he didn't do. So that's another part of being a B'nai Noach. We've got to learn what he said and who he said it to.
And that even goes with aspects of prayer, praying the prayers and things. But Tiffany says that's the best news she's heard all day.
So I'm just saying, I grew up in a church that taught you wasn't supposed to. And it took me a long time to get past the guilt issue. God didn't give me the guilt of sitting down and having me a pepperoni pizza. Religion gave me that guilt. Religion that didn't know what it was talking about because it didn't know the Hebrew scriptures. It read something from an English translation from a Western world mindset and tried to imply something from the Hebrew scriptures from 3,000 years ago that had absolutely no meaning to us. That's the problem. We're going back to the beginning and learning what God wants for us. Now, there are people who don't want to. That's fine. But it's not a sin. This is the reason, like when I was doing my studies, 7 years of studies to join the Hebrew nation, the rabbi looked me square in the face. He said, "You're fixing to make an oath to God. There are things that are not a sin for you that once you make that oath will be a sin for you. Are you ready for that?" See, when you cross that line over and you become part of the Hebrew nation, there are things you're not permitted to do that you are permitted to do now. And are you ready to make that commitment? It sounds good right now. It sounds holy and sanctified and righteous and all that. What about 5 years down the road? When you drive past McDonald's, you smell bacon cooking. Oh man, I sure would like to have me a bacon and egg sandwich. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and go in there and eat it. Now it's a sin for you if you do. See, those things aren't made sins for us because we are scattered. God scattered us all over the earth. And there's some places that doesn't have anything else. And it, like I said, we can actually, this is areas that we can elevate that the Jews cannot. Just think of that. God wants everything elevated. But the Jews cannot elevate certain things. They're commanded not to. But we're not commanded not to. So when we elevate something they can't, like certain foods, the whole earth gets elevated. Everything gets elevated. Nothing's left out. But see, it's not a sin. It's just, again, it goes like the lesson with Rabbi Hirsch on the law of kind. An oak tree grows for 150 years in the same spot and never moves. Do you think it's jealous of that squirrel that's jumping from tree to tree and can go wherever it wants? No, because the oak tree is living exactly how God wanted it to. And that's a hard lesson for us sometimes, to live the life that God wants you to live according to how he made you. If he did not make you a Levite, if he didn't make you a Jew, if he didn't make you any of that, then why pretend to play and be something that you're not? He says, matter of fact, I just read something from him. It was really, really interesting when he was talking about to another student. And he told the student, he said, look at the blade of grass and examine yourself and compare yourself to that blade of grass. See, we're to look at the creation and learn from it. And there's a lot of lessons when you think about it. When I read that, I was sitting outside and I was studying, and I started looking at things. And I started seeing things about life from a blade of grass. But see, that blade of grass isn't jealous that there's a grapevine over here producing grapes that feeds the animals and feeds the humans. The blade of grass, it just gets mowed under a lot of times. Just comes up and dies. But it doesn't get jealous. And it's like Rabbi Hirsch says, everything down to the smallest element has a deep purpose to bring everything into a whole and a completion. And that's why it's so important to learn who we are and to operate within who we are. Because if we are trying to be something we're not, we're denying God something that he made in us. We're denying God from experiencing that. Think about that. Okay, Scotty, I know we're right at 9, but I'm going to go ahead and hit number 5 here. Is that okay? Anything else before I need to go? Because I know this is important. We're going to come back to this subject again. So I know a lot of you are going to be looking forward to it, because there's some really good information in this passage of not eating meat taken from a living animal. A lot of good stuff. Good earthy stuff. Learning to take care of the creation. Number 5, respect the sanctity of private property. The 5th principle of Noah is about respecting the property of others. In other words, not stealing. But there is much more to stealing than you might have ever imagined. Yeah, if you think you've not taken your neighbor's shovel, you've not lifted their wallet, you left everything alone. Folks, every one of us, including myself, every day we steal something. That's how deep that goes. This commandment runs deep. And I'm going to tie a little bit of that as I end this right here on this, about how deep this goes. Each of our lives has a unique purpose, and those things that enter our lives becomes our possessions. They are keys, and they are a purpose for us. You can't steal purpose from anyone's life. You can't steal purpose from anyone's life, no matter how much you take away from him. But another person's property in your possession becomes a heavy weight that does not allow you, your own purpose, to be fulfilled. If you take another person's property into your possession, it is such a heavy weight that it does not allow your own purpose to be fulfilled. Think about it this way. You realize that there are many ways of stealing without even taking your hands out of your pockets. How about the person who gets ahead of putting someone else down, for example? Isn't that also a form of taking something that's not yours? The same with laughing at someone else's expense or gossiping about someone else just for entertainment. And I love this statement right here. Whatever benefits you receive in this world, make sure that none of them are at the unfair expense of someone else. So what I want to do in closing on that, let's take a look at Genesis chapter 2 and verse 16. We're going to go back to there, and we know we talked about this. Genesis chapter 2 and verse 16 is, as Rabbi Hirsch put it, is the beginning of man's moral calling. In verse 16, and it says, and Hashem, God commanded the man, saying, God made man. Now he's giving him some instructions. That's all it is. He's giving him some instructions. This is part of the command that most people don't get, don't even think about. I didn't ever really think about it until the rabbi says, you ever thought about this? I'm like, no. Part of the command of God is that was given to Adam. Of every tree of the garden, you may freely eat. You know, that's part of the command. God is saying, every tree of the garden is yours. He just gave it to him. Here. But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you must not eat. What did God just do? He set a boundary. This is the very first boundary. All of this is yours, but this one thing's mine. And you don't take from it. Of course, it came with an ultimatum that you must, it says, of the tree of the good and evil, you must not eat thereof. For on the day you eat of it, you shall surely die. Just a little bitty tidbit here. It doesn't say if you eat. It says for on the day. He already knew they were going to. It doesn't say if you're going to eat. It says on the day you eat. That's for another story. But right now, we're looking at this. God has set a boundary. This is yours. This is mine. You can take whatever you want from there. Just like whatever God has given you, make sure you don't harm anybody else, at the expense of someone else. God gives you everything. He gave them every tree in the garden. That's all yours. There could have been 1,000 trees, but this one's mine. So he set a boundary. In Genesis chapter 3, verse 6 and 7, it says, and the woman saw that the tree was good for eating, and it was delight unto the eyes, and that it was desirable. What do we have here? She's looking over the fence. She's looking at God's tree. The one that says, no, this is mine, that's yours. So she looked at God. Let's say God's her neighbor. So she's looking at her neighbor's possession, and she saw with her eyes, she was lusting. She was coveting her neighbor's stuff. And she goes, oh man, that's nice. Oh, that's good. I can see benefit in that. It's good for eating. Eating means consuming. You can consume it, whether you're eating it or buying it or stealing it, you're consuming it. So she's looking at something that's not hers. And the more she looks at it, the more she desires it, because she says it's a delight to the eye and is desirable. You know, my neighbor's Lamborghini over there. Oh, that's nice. Or that 4x4 pickup truck, if you're here in the South. Oh man, you look at that Chevy over there. Look at that Ford over there. I can walk underneath that puppy. That's nice. Man, I wish I had that. No difference than what Eve was doing. And then here's the big thing. And she took. She stole. Before Adam and Eve ate of the forbidden fruit, it was stolen goods. From here, we learn that there's a boundary set. That's yours. This is mine. Leave it alone. But instead, they got to looking at what wasn't theirs. They desired it. It was delightful. And then they took it. They stole it before they ate it. So we learn there we're not supposed to share in stolen goods. So for prohibition of theft for us is if you know something is stolen, you don't share it with someone else. It's stolen. It says, and she took it in the fruit and they ate. And she gave it to her husband. They ate. Then their eyes were open and they realized they was naked. And boy, did I hear a really interesting spiritual teaching on this. Understand they were given one commandment. They were given one commandment. That's yours. This is mine. Don't take. They were given one. But once they took it, they were without any more commandments. They were without any more commandments. There was nothing else they could do. And so they were naked. Spiritually, they were naked. There was nothing else they could serve God in. God gave them one way to serve him, and that way they ignored. And once they did it, they were naked. They had no other commandments to serve God. So what did they go and they do? They make fig leaves to hide themselves spiritually. When you have no more commandments, when you say there is no commandments to obey God, that there's only faith, there's only this, there's no commandments. What you do, you go out and you sew fig leaves to cover up your nakedness. You put together a religion, a system to try to hide your nakedness. But you can't hide the nakedness. You don't have any more commandments. And that's where they found themselves. They found themselves, they had no more commandments. They had no other way to serve God. This was the only way they were given to serve God. And I thought when Rabbi was teaching on that, on a spiritual level, that when you are without commandments, you're naked before God. Then you go and read further. They took fig leaves to try to hide their nakedness. They took their own system trying to hide things. And you can't. You got to use God's system. And from this point on, we also learned that the Creator gave us more things to do. But from this one point, we can learn here in Genesis chapter 2:16 that God set a boundary first. And really one of the first things it teaches is theft. And the number one things that plagues us, humanity and every culture there is on the planet, is theft. Matter of fact, we have Scotty and I, many of us, we have this friend, her name's Abby. It's Jacob and Abby. Abby has studied this prohibition of theft. When I've got questions, I call her up. She knows her stuff. Matter of fact, maybe be cool sometime. I haven't mentioned this to her. Maybe we could have her on sometime, just talk about it, because she's really, really good and knowledgeable about the issue of theft. But from this very point in Genesis chapter 2:16, the issue of theft and coveting and lusting after that which is not yours enters into us. And it's something that we all struggle with. And I guarantee you, every one of us, including myself, every day there's something that we take, and it doesn't mean just taking something with your own hands. We all slip into that situation when we're aggravated with somebody at work, and we talk about it. That happens every day where I work at, because we're low staffed as it is, and we're being worked like a borrowed mule, as we say here in the South. So it's easy to slip into some aggravations. And so when we look at the prohibition of theft, it begins right there in Genesis chapter 2 and verse 16. I just wanted to, we'll cover that again as we get into theft. Won't be the only time we talk about it. All righty, Scotty.
Great class, Terry. Great class.
Anything on that one? I know I started to pot a little bit.
No. There is several people that's mentioned on the radio, and then in some of our Facebook areas. There are several people that they've never heard anything like this before. And this, it's brand new, so it's going to take a little bit of time to understand exactly what you're talking about. But as we go on, the depth of each thing will become clear.
Yeah, we're going to get into these individually and probably do a mini series on every one of these, and take questions on these, because we want to cover it, because this is our life and our service to God as the non-Jewish, people of God, the non-Jewish children. We are the non-Jewish children of God. How do we know we know that? Because in Exodus chapter 4, verse 22, says, the Creator tells Moses, go to Pharaoh and tell him Israel is my son, my firstborn. Israel is his firstborn. God says that. Exodus 4:22.
Yeah.
Well, we're his second, third, and fourth. We're still his children, but they are the priest nation. They're there to be a light to us. And that word firstborn is very important, because Brooks is going to like this, because it ties into an understanding with some stuff that happens with Cain and Genesis chapter 4:7. So I'm just whetting Brooks' appetite there a little bit when we get to talking about that. There's an important understanding of what the firstborn is and what they're supposed to do.
Right.
So anyhow.
All right. Well, listen, I want to say to the people who are viewing through the Facebook pages, I apologize. I just noticed tonight that our stream is lagging a little bit. I apologize. That's on my part. It's because I haven't got the bit rate set correctly. I'm going to work on that this next week so we can fix that, and that way it won't be lagging somewhat. I notice people coming on, going off, coming on, going off. So what it is, it makes them rebuff all the time. So I'm going to work on getting that fixed, but we apologize for that. So please, if you missed anything, come back and rewatch
go to the YouTube
video.
channel and check out the video.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, everybody, we so much appreciate you joining us tonight. Those of you that are listening via Power Faith Radio, the Georgia group had 19 with them tonight, and we appreciate them. And we have many listening on the radio. Also, those of you that are watching by Outreach Noah, I'm going to try to get all these out real quick. Outreach Noah YouTube channel. Please share those videos, subscribe to that channel, and we'd greatly appreciate it. And again, we're trying to get to 100 subscribers. We get a little quirk when you get there.
What it does is it lets us shorten the URL down. So when anybody shares it, you'll be able to share by the name of the group instead of this long number.
Right.
So once we get to 100, YouTube lets us fixes the URL link.
Yeah. Yep. So those of you that are also listening by Simple Walk, we thank you so much for coming in. And those of you at the Facebook page, and those of you that are listening by Banana Walk Fellowship Facebook page, we thank you so much. And of course, tonight we are live streaming also on South Carolina Noahide. Did I get that right? Boy,
Yeah.
that's Brooke Lee up there, and we appreciate him so much. And again, we thank everybody here in the room. Chrissy Seaton had to leave a few minutes ago. We thank everybody that I think Karen and Harold and I didn't call him Frank tonight. I guess that's good. And then Tiffany, and there were just so many people. My aunt was listening there, and my aunt corrected me. That's her mother, my dad's stepmother. I think it's what she put on there that we had on our Sadaka list tonight. But we thank everybody that is listening. And also we thank Ronald and Wendell and Amuela and Thomas and Veronica and my lovely wife, Annie. And as always, we thank Terry for studying and preparing for delivery, what the Creator is trying to reveal to us tonight. Are we out of here?
We're out here if you want to be, Scotty.
We'll see everybody next week. So long.
Bye-bye.